Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to The Wise Guys, the largest BYU sports live stream in the entire world, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. New podcast out tomorrow, wherever you get your podcast. Dave McCann, Brian Logan, we're The Wise Guys tonight. Brian in for Blaine this week. And we invite you to subscribe to our free email at wiseguys.com. You can also watch all our past content, and would love it if you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We're building that audience, and so if you've already done it, encourage your friends to do it, and we'll just let that thing grow. Our wives are so much happier when that number's going. And we're thrilled to have Brady Plus as our title sponsor. Brady Plus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country, over 6,000 employees. The president is a BYU guy, Travis Brady, longtime friend of ours, friend of the show, and we love having Brady Plus associated with the Wise Guys.
Yeah, glad you guys are getting more sponsors, man. It's been crazy. I've been, the third wheel. I'm used. Since I've been divorced, I've been used to being the third wheel. So
that's a long time ago.
I know it's like 8 years ago, but it's been amazing just to see how things are taking off, and even more so just here recently.
We're happy to have you here. Wise Guys now distributed by the Deseret News and Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850. Watch for our content on their social media sites as we serve Cougar Nation all over the world. Naperville, Illinois, Russ out of the gate, among the first here on the live stream, looking for some good news. Cary, Idaho is checking in. Let us know where you're at from around the world. Bilo, what's up, Bilo? Getting an early comment on the live stream, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to have a fun show. There's Big 12 football. The schedule's out. It's been out for 6 days now. So we're going to give our opinions about it as we go through game by game. Bryan Kehl, former Cougar linebacker, former NFL linebacker, he's going to be on the show. He's always got some cool insight to share with us, and we look forward to that as well. And basketball's got a Super Tuesday ahead of them.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is probably been the first time in a while. I think last year was the first time I was really connected to the basketball program. Before it was kind of just like, did we win? Did we lose? Now I'm invested, and it wasn't a good Saturday for me at all. As I was cooking lunch, I was almost burned a couple of things, and BYU, lost a tough one, so looking for them.
Man, you just had an awful Saturday.
It wasn't good, and I'm happy. My boys and nobody was around because I was cussing a lot.
Come on, we're working on that.
I had to repent fast.
I'm glad you did. Raleigh, North Carolina is on the stream. So is Pleasant Hill, California, Huntsville, Alabama. Good to have you folks with us. What did you think of that Super Bowl?
I loved it. I loved every minute.
You were cheering for the Eagles?
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard because, Andy, I love Andy Reid. I absolutely love him. Good dude. Every time I see him, around campus and in the facilities, he's genuine guy, very funny, lighthearted individual. Great supporter of the university and the church. Great representative. So I was a little torn, but my kids, so their mothers, their mother lives in Missouri, and they live in Missouri.
Right.
And so naturally they're Chiefs fans. And I'm a 49ers fan. I grew up in the Bay Area. And the last two Super Bowls recently, the Chiefs had beat them. And so me and my mom were FaceTiming them, and we were talking all kind of trash talk leading up. And it was about halftime, like the end of halftime, and the Eagles had scored again, and so we FaceTimed him, and he was so sad. Like it broke my heart. He looked like he was about to. Hard, huh? He was taking it to heart, and he's a huge football fan, huge Chiefs fan, but it was almost like the 49. I was rooting for the 49ers, So
and they just happened to not be in the game.
Yeah, but they were just wearing green. Instead of their gold and red. So I think for the casual football fan, it was probably a boring game, but somebody that hates the Chiefs.
There's a lot of people that are tired of the Chiefs. And the Eagles played great. Their defensive line won the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got pressure on Mahomes all night long and didn't blitz a single time.
That's crazy.
And you can do that. You see it in college too. When BYU's getting pressure on the quarterback without having to send a linebacker, nobody's open.
Nope.
And the quarterback's going down or making a mistake. And even a guy as talented as Mahomes, under pressure, does human-like things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing pressure in sports. A free throw becomes impossible to make. A Hall of Fame quarterback can't throw a pass above a guy's shin on 3rd and 4 just because he's
so
under duress. We saw that last night.
And that's the thing with pressure. There was time when you get to the quarterback early, like the Eagles did. There's times throughout the game where he could have sat in the pocket. He had a pocket, but the timer in his head is now going a little bit faster.
Yeah,
and that's when when he's under duress and his feet aren't set. He has happy feet. He can't make basic throws. And for me as a defender, and you saw this a lot with BYU in the secondary this year. Because a lot of fans would be like, what's up with the sacks? We need to get more sacks. And I'm like, no, I would rather get pressure, because getting pressure on the quarterback gets him off platform, like you saw with Mahomes last night, and you get those inherent throws. So you get more opportunities for interceptions, which is why BYU, led, one of the top teams in the nation.
Yeah, 22
with takeaways right there.
Yeah, it's a good strategy.
You saw it last night. The amount of interceptions and takeaways that the Eagles defense had.
Weston's in on the stream from Nebraska. Hey, Weston. Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore called a great game. They tried to run the ball with Barkley, and the Chiefs took that away. And so Hurts started running. They had no answer for that. And then Hurts was throwing to wide open guys. Yeah. I thought Moore, who's expected to be the next Saints head coach, with Taysom Hill.
That's good.
That'll be fun. Kellen's wife Julie's a BYU grad. They dated while he was at Boise State, lighting everybody up. And she was down here at BYU, and if it all works out, it sounds like it will. The Moores and the Hills will reunite in a fun way in New Orleans, and I'm curious to see. As I was watching them attack last night, I was wondering, okay, how will this affect Taysom in play calling? How will Kellen Moore and his group take advantage of everything that Taysom does? And he's expected to be back healthy in time for next season after a brutal injury. And I'll be curious to see, but you got Brother Hill, you have Brother Moore, two Saints playing for the Saints. They're coaching. How about that?
That's a really, really good one. I think Kellen Moore is, you can't say up and coming anymore, but he's had a lot of success the last couple of years, and I think he's more of the younger, modern type of a play caller. And so I think you'll see Taysom being used in ways we probably didn't even think he could be used.
Are there other ways?
That's how creative he is. Well, I mean, I think probably not being used, probably not the right phrase. More so of creative ways of getting him the ball. Right, because right now he's in certain positions, and it's like, okay, when he's lined up at receiver, we know we could expect what he's going to do. When he's lined up at quarterback, we know what he's going to do, or fullback or tight end, whatever the case is. So I think it's going to be a little bit more creative ways, kind of like Andy Reid. Andy Reid is super creative of how he gets his playmakers the ball, right? And it's so creative. Like there's a number of times where certain plays are on SportsCenter. There's times where A-Rod, takes it and implements it for BYU, right? We've seen a lot of those. So I think you'll see a lot of that with Kellen Moore.
We'll get Bryan Kehl's take on the Super Bowl coming up here in just a couple of minutes. David from the ice-cold shadows of Provo Canyon on the stream tonight. Hang in there. Spring is coming. Not today, though. The only drama at our house at the Super Bowl, because the McCanns have a big dinner, and we get, there's, 40, 50 of us.
Yeah, you got a lot.
And the feast of all feasts, which I would rather have than Thanksgiving, because it's wings and whatever. But so I'm in charge of the Super Bowl prize, and it's a big deal. And so we got it wrapped up in this big box. No one knows what it is, and you either pick the Chiefs on the red poster board or the Eagles on the green, and the closest one to the score wins.
Okay.
It keeps the young and old all in the game.
That's good.
Whether or not they're watching the game, they come back because they want to win the prize.
Right.
So with just a couple minutes left, I'm prepared to hand this giant Super Bowl prize over to a 4-year-old because she's the only one that picked a Chiefs blowout. Wow. And then Mahomes threw the bomb, and then they got the 2-point conversion, and out of nowhere, my sister Marcy emerges.
Oh, no.
And so I handed the prize to an adult, and then she opened it up. It was full of treats and stuff that she gave to the kids. Okay. But I was sitting there going, I could just give a Twinkie to the 4-year-old, and she'd be just fine.
Right.
But she's going to get this year's supply of stuff. And so we were all sitting there going, hey, if they score, and then all of a sudden, bomb. And now they needed the 2-point conversion. So there was at least some drama at the McCann.
She was probably crushed, huh?
Yeah. Well, she got a bag of candy from my sister, and it's all good.
Okay. That made it
I was more okay with it. Anyway, Super Bowl stuff with Bryan Kehl coming up in just a couple of minutes. Let's talk some BYU football. Last Wednesday was signing day. So the class of 30, 22 newcomers, December and February in the signing day, then 8 portal kids that joined in January. 24/7 Sports rates the BYU class as the best in program history as they've scored each guy.
Interesting.
That is interesting. The headliners, 4-star linebacker, running back McKay Madsen from Clovis, California. He was part of that February 4-man class. So one of the headliners, he's a Luke Staley kind of runner.
Yeah.
He's going out on his mission, and then we'll see him, in a few years. But he picked BYU over Oregon on national TV. That's good.
That is absolutely crazy. See, this goes back to my theory. He's an LDS kid, right?
Yeah.
I really don't think it should be this hard to get 4- and 5-star LDS kids. I think it should be by default. I just do. I personally do. And it always like blew my mind when I played. So I played 2009, 2010. And when Jake Heaps, 5-star kid, ranked number 1 in the nation on a couple of different recruiting websites. And I was like, what are you doing here, dude? Like, literally, why? Like, are you out of your mind? Why are you coming to BYU? You could have went anywhere in the world. And why did you choose BYU? And he's like, mostly because I'm LDS, my faith. And then obviously like quarterback factory, et cetera, et cetera. But when he said that, I said, you know what? And then Arasapo came as well, decommitted from Texas. And I'm like, we can do this. Like we can do this. And I think the program itself is starting to catch up to where kids that are LDS are like, you know what? BYU is at a stage right now, program-wise, where why not go play for a school that represents my faith? Because they can hang with the Oregons and the Texases and whoever.
Blow out the Colorados that's what on primetime television.
That's what I'm saying. So it's starting to happen.
Yeah.
I've been praying for this for a while.
I'm glad that you have. I'm glad to see that coming around. Joshua, always listening, first time commenting out of Sandy, Utah. Joshua, great to have you on the Wise Guys tonight. Spring practice starts February 27th, just around the corner. Big 12 Pro Days, March 18th through the 21st in Frisco, Texas. The Alumni Game, March 28th at LES on BYU TV. You getting loose? Getting ready?
I just started working out again.
Okay, that's right. It's better than the night before, like last time.
Yeah, no. I've literally done that last time. But this time I said, you know what? I'm gonna be smart and
be ready.
I'm gonna be.
Make a difference back there. How about a pick six? I don't think we've had a pick six.
I don't think so either. They blame me. I was actually talking to Ben Criddle last week about this because he was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, I blame you because we had to keep Brandon Bradley in, and I was like, I got hurt, man. I fell on my back." And he was like, "No, that was an excuse." And he was like, "A lot of us kind of blame you because when you have like a stud at that position." And then the person that's out there is losing the game for us.
Yeah.
We no longer blame the guy that's getting beat. We blame the guy that's on the bench that's capable of playing.
What I'm hearing is we're going to have a fully healthy Belo at the Alumni Game.
Yes.
Coming up as we should. Spring practice actually ends March 29th, the day after the Alumni Game. Big 12 Media Days, July 8th and 9th in Frisco, Texas. And then we're right back at it on BYU TV with all that we got going on. You look at the calendar and there's a lot of days between now and then, but it kind of zips along.
It does.
Things kind of keep moving.
It does. Well, I think it's because there's so many little things that are, on the calendar that it helps us as football fans to get by, right?
Yeah.
And what I like, I hate the offseason because only for personal reasons, because I get bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
But these type of events, right, like spring ball and pro days, and just following players post career is kind of what keeps you going, right? It gives you a little shot of the energy, to make it through the off season. So
because we love football, we love summer, and the all that it is, great weather and all that stuff. But once you get past the Stadium of Fire, it's the countdown to camps opening up and all that stuff. So we'll do it all together on Wise Guys and keep you posted on things. Gennaro Guilford, promoted to defensive passing game coordinator, continue to coach the cornerbacks. I want to get your thought on that. As I do, I'm going to throw some stats at you. BYU last year, number 1 in interceptions in the country with 22, tied with Texas. Number 2 in takeaways per game, 2.3. Number 3 in pass efficiency defense. And number 1 in the Big 12 in total defense and scoring defense. So how important is it to give Gennaro raise and lock him in?
Nice raise. Man, it's I don't know if words can really describe the impact that he actually had. I mean, obviously you see the stats, but typically BYU, like we don't get the prototypical corner, right?
Right.
I say this all the time. This theory is funny, but I always say that, there's certain positions that have certain personalities attached to it, right? And like corners and DBs are gonna be guys that have a lot of swag. They're gonna tend to live a certain lifestyle. and think about Deion Sanders, right?
Right.
And that lifestyle doesn't align with BYU's honor code, and so for a corner, a prototypical corner, college corner could say, I don't really want to go to BYU. And so what has to happen is Gennaro's done a really good job of recruiting guys that maybe are in the lower end of what you would prototypically get. And so he's developed them. So developing guys is really the key with Coach G and how good of a job he's done. So anybody can get talent, right? Nick Saban says it all the time, like, the reason why I won so many games is because I had talented players. Yeah. And he always says, I'm not about to go and coach players that aren't good, and I don't have to. That's not a successful formula. And so BYU, with lack of resources or honor code or whatever the case may be, has done an extremely good job of developing players, and more so at the position. So basically, what I'm trying to say is he has made. He's taken a turd and turned it into gold. No disrespect to
Thank you, Bilo.
No disrespect to
Thank
the
you for that visual on that. Kent from Highland on the stream. Craig from North Carolina, former BYU broadcast associate. Craig Camp, longtime colleague of ours, had missed working with a team of talented professionals. Keep up the great work. I hope all is great with you, Craig. Sylvia in from Wisconsin. Nick from Pensacola, Florida.
Nice.
Good to have Florida in the house.
Have we had Wisconsin before?
Yeah, Sylvia's a regular.
Okay.
We like to span the globe.
Yeah.
And we encourage everyone on the stream, hop on the stream, let us know where you're taking us in from. Our guest tonight was a star linebacker at BYU between 2005 and 2002. He played 7 seasons in the NFL with the Giants, Rams, and Commanders. He knows his stuff. He's a friend of the program. It's our pleasure to welcome Bryan Kehl back to the Wise Guys. Bryan, how you doing tonight?
Hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you now. We're all good. What'd you think of that game last night?
I mean, if you like defense, it was a masterclass. It was a boring football game, but phenomenal defense by the green team that I don't like.
Well, Bilo's all excited because he was cheering for the Eagles, because he was cheering for the 49ers and hates the Chiefs, but not Andy Reid. Did I get that interpretation?
Yeah, that's spot on, 100%. Yeah,
I love Andy Reid.
I really have a rivalry with my son because their mother. They live in Missouri, and their mother's from Missouri. So right now she's molding
they're all
them
into the Chiefs.
Yeah. She's molding them. So we had this little rivalry going, and It felt good.
I love Andy Reid. I'm a little over the Chiefs Kingdom mania.
Yeah. We've been calling it the Queendom now.
Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah.
Brian, was there a time in this game where you just kind of expected Andy to just figure things out and then things just start working and they never did?
2 times, right at the end of the first half, but Mahomes threw it to the other team. I thought for sure, I was like, oh, they're going to go get a drive here, get some momentum, double dip. They're going to score here at the end of the half, get the ball at the start of the second half and score again, and we're going to have a game. But instead, Mahomes threw an uncharacteristic, terrible pick that was a touchdown a couple plays later, and then they got the ball to start the second half and did nothing with it. So it's just kind of how the game went.
What does it mean to a defense from a linebacker's perspective? When you can get that much pressure on the quarterback without doing one blitz, what does that allow you guys to do?
Well, it's demoralizing for the offense, and there's nothing better for a defense. I mean, I don't like the Seahawks. I didn't like the Legion of Boom and that great defense that they had, but I always give credit. And that's what made them great is they could get pressure with 4 and then obviously play great coverage in the back end. And that's why they were good for all those years. But that's what Philly did is they got incredible pressure with 4 and then smothered everything in the back end with 7 in coverage. And you just, as an offense, there is nothing you can do against that. If they're only pressuring 4 and getting to the quarterback, I mean, because they got it locked up on the back end.
Yeah. Why do you think that's not more of a emphasis in college and maybe it's in pros, but I mean, you would look and say that's a great formula. Let's put all of our focus on getting these top, defensive tackles so we can get pressure. Like it seems like an obvious, right?
You're not easily replicated, unfortunately. You need four horses that are hungry to get after it, and every once in a while teams are able to do it. But yeah, I mean, if you could do that all the time, yeah, defenses would.
Is that a money thing? Do you think, like in the NFL,
money, you got to have those guys. I mean and it's not just having guys on the outside, because a lot of teams have guys on the outside, but you need guys on the inside that can pass rush too.
Right.
And a lot of teams have one or the other. It's rare that teams have 4 guys that can get after it, and the Eagles do. I mean, in terms of just talent, their inside guys are probably more talented. I mean, their inside guys are just dominate. I mean, they're monsters.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, you got close to the big game. The Giants, they waved you early in 2010. The Rams pick you up the next day. So now you're on the Rams and you watch New York go to win the Super Bowl in 2011. Timing is so much part of the highs and lows in the NFL, isn't it?
I still remember sitting at my parents' house all by myself watching that game, just disgusted of jealousy and anger and resentment, and all my buddies celebrating on the field, and it was tough. Poor me, I was wallowing in my self-pity. But yeah, I missed it twice because they won it the year before I got there, and then they won it the year after I left. So yeah.
Did you ask for a ring at least?
Impeccable timing. It got lost in the mail, I think.
Is it?
Never did get that.
I asked Bilo this a minute ago. Gennaro Guilford gets the promotion in this past week to defensive passing game coordinator. How valuable is Gennaro to what BYU's got going on defense?
Oh, Gennaro is the best of the best. All Cougar fans will never forget that Utah game in 2001. I was a senior in high school, sitting in the student recruiting section. I was getting recruited, and I was sitting next to my buddy who played with me in high school, who was going to Utah, and we were talking trash the whole game. And that play was iconic. And then fast forward, I get there the next year, and I just loved that guy. He was just such an incredible player. He was a great teammate, and have always just been impressed with him as a coach and the stuff that he's done. And I heard a little bit of what Bilo was saying earlier in his last comment. I wouldn't phrase it that way. But,
neither would I, Brian. Neither would I.
He has maximized. Is how I will say it. He has maximized the output of the guys that he's had.
That is a way better way to articulate that for sure.
It really was.
I'd be freestyling sometimes, and what's funny. Dave, and the guys, they have to put up with me because they kind of hold their breath whenever I speak, because especially when we're live, right?
He's the only guy we have on a 25-second delay.
Literally.
What's he gonna say?
No,
but no, he does. He gets a lot out of those guys, and it's evident. And you look at, especially these last couple of years, and I mean, just the way that we have covered on the outside and in the back end. It's unprecedented. We've always had like a guy here, a guy there that could cover, but that guy couldn't tackle very well. Or, it's just, I don't think, and I would argue this, I don't think we've ever been so complete in our secondary in coverage and tackling and assignment sound and just all those things. And that's why they were so good last year.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's a great comment.
Have you had a chance to look at the schedule yet?
I have seen it. And not to go back, I just want to make a point. And this warmed my heart. Just going back to last season, I was on Twitter, which I always am. And it's a cesspool, but sometimes there's some gems in there. And I can't remember what I was looking at, but it was some national post, and it was about BYU. And I was looking at the comments below, and there were other people from other states, and they were commenting. I think it was the BYU Colorado game. I don't remember what game it was, but the thing that stuck out was people commenting on how well BYU's defense tackled. And it just warmed my heart, because for years that was the opposite of the case. We tackled very poorly, and so it's just great to see that, to see somebody else recognizing the improvement, and it makes all the difference. So anyway, sorry to backtrack.
No, you're good.
I think that's a good note. It's always good when other people recognize
exactly.
it. So but so to the Big 12 schedule, what's your overall reaction to it?
Yeah, I see a lot of winnable games on there. It's funny. Your expectations are so skewed after last year.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I was hoping for 6 wins, and and then obviously, they went through the roof, and so now my expectations are higher. I want more. I'm hungry. And so I look at the schedule and I'm like, oh, we can win that game, or we can win that game, or we can win that game, and I'm just excited. I love it. I love football. I'm jealous. I told someone the other day I would give anything to be 16 years old right now.
Oh, right.
And to be reinserted, put me back into the matrix.
Listen, the Alumni Game is coming up. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. That's where you are now. You're a hero, a legend of that game. The two of you will be in here next month.
B, I think I have a chance with the JC rule. I might get 2 years. Might get 2 years back.
I heard about that.
I don't even need to play. I just put me on the roster so I can get some NIL.
Get some of that NIL.
That's it. Yeah. I'll be like a coach, I'll be another coach.
Some of those perks.
Right, exactly.
Hey, what do you think of Colorado on the 27th of September and then Utah on October 18th? Those are two big ones.
Big games. I still am bugged that they can't get us Utah in rivalry week.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but maybe that's above my pay grade, but why that can't be done. This last year when rivalry happened, and obviously we had already beat them, which was glorious, but I just remember thinking, man, we should be playing them this week. But those are obviously two great games, and excited for both of them, and excited. 3 is coming. Is that how you do that? Am I doing that right?
That's how you do it.
Out there.
3 is coming.
3 is coming. So yeah.
Now you've been in this game and you played it late in the year, and it's a cold day and all that stuff. October 18th is going to be perfect, even if they play it at midnight. It's going to be perfect for the fans, and when the weather's nice at LaVelle Edwards Stadium, it's just an outdoor block party, right? And then Boulder is that'll be a warm night in September, but that place will be hopping. Those two environments on those two dates, though, I think will be off the charts.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I've never been. I've never been there to Boulder, so I always look at what games could I try to go to, and it's tough now with my son and his team that I coach. But I'm definitely going to look at trying to go to that game. And every year I try to kind of pencil some games, some away games. What can I go to? And I always look for places that I haven't been to, iconic places that I haven't been to. So hopefully that one works out. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, if it works, I'm going to try to go with Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
Will they let me?
No, you're in studio.
No, I can't go, Spencer.
But Bryan, you should be there and take your boy. Although you'll be right in the middle of your season, so that's kind of tough, especially for you and Nick's. Everyone's got boys right in that same league. Your boys play together, and so it's a special time, but it requires you to be other places on Saturday.
Yeah. It is. It's tough. Dave's got 2 now that are playing, and so he's got double duty, and it's tough. Sure. Saturdays are special.
Yeah, for sure. Former BYU and NFL linebacker Bryan Kehl on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. Before we talk defense, you mentioned you want more here in 2025. After 11-2, what are your expectations for the fall?
I don't know what my expectations are, but I will go back. I am still just bothered at the games that we lost because they were so winnable.
Yeah. And
it's funny. I mean, hindsight's everything. If you would have given me this time last year 11 wins, I would have sold, sold half my possessions for that. I don't know what I would have done, but it's just funny how expectations change. And then you fast forward to that point in the season, and we had the world in the palm of our hands, and we just blew it. And we have nobody to blame but ourselves. There's a handful of plays in either of those games that you could point back to. And then it just was, everybody was through the roof with how we dominated Colorado in the bowl game, which obviously was great, but it made the pain of those losses worse for me, because it was like, man, we could have competed.
Yeah.
If we would have taken care of business, and just who knows. And then also seeing how well Arizona State did, and I don't care what anybody says, we're better than those bums. Yeah, it was just I'm still sour. I guess. Yeah. Long story short, I'm still sour. I want more. I'm hungry.
How do you weigh? Let's say you got to the playoff and got beat, like Arizona State did. You missed the playoff because the tiebreaker favors Arizona State and they beat you by 5. But you go to the Alamo Bowl, you rout Colorado in front of the largest crowd to ever watch BYU on TV, with a paycheck, the largest in program history. So you got that, and you take momentum in as opposed to end it on a loss. But is being in that playoff game still trump an opportunity to do what they did against Colorado?
That's hard to say. Yeah. And obviously as a player, it's hard to say, because taking an L to end the season versus a dominant win, it just sets you up. I don't know. I just think with it being the first year of the 12-team playoff, and just how iconic that would have been to bust into that. Yeah. And we had it. We had it in our. I had my flights booked to Arlington and all that stuff, and I booked them in October and had to cancel those, and like I said, I'm still
we're still working through that.
That's the real reason why
it's only been a couple months, so we're still working through that.
I'm with you. I said this on air. I think the last 2 weeks I was like, oh man, I'm not as excited, or like I don't care about hindsight. It's because we were right there, right? Like expectations, they constantly, I think, as football fans and even just as players, like expectations changed throughout the entire season. And as BYU started to win, and then having strong wins and then having close wins, they're like, oh, you guys can win in different ways, like, in challenging situations or in blowouts. And I think you're right. I think there's times in special seasons where you have a little bit of magic, which we saw. Yeah. And then there's other things that are out of your control that fall your way. So Kansas being down, right, that year, Oklahoma State being down, like it was like everything was
stars aligned.
Yes, stars aligned, and yeah. So I'm with you. So when it comes to like expectations next year, is it obviously we first thing is what? Make a bowl game. So we understand that. But now it's got to be make it to the conference championship, right? Like, and regardless of how it happens.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's build. It's okay. We did that. Now what's next? And you look at, I mean, the best programs compete every single year. They're knocking on the door. And why can't that be? I mean, I'm just, that's how I'm wired. I think you're wired the same way, B. Like, why can't that be us? Like, why not? Who says it can't be? And that's just how I'm wired. So it's just, yeah, I mean.
Well, you had double-digit win seasons. Double-digit win seasons became a norm as you came through, and so it's been a while since BYU's been 11-2. But you know, nine wins next year puts you in the title chase. No one's going to go through unscathed. The home games you're in a position to defend LaVell Edwards Stadium. If you win your home games, that's 6. You go to East Carolina, you should win that game. That's 7. And now you got 5 games to pick off 2 or 3, and you're right back, and suddenly doesn't seem impossible, like maybe coming out of the 5-7 year we had 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just like B just said, the expectations, they evolve. And the bad part about them being so good last year is my expectations are high now. So, and most of the team is back. So sorry guys, you played too good. Now I expect more.
Isn't it so much fun?
I didn't expect anything. A year ago, I didn't expect anything out of this team. But now, sorry, you've shown me what you're capable of.
Expectations are fun.
That's why that Kansas loss hurt so bad, is because we had no business losing to them. Yeah. And then that ASU game, who obviously they're a great team, but we played like dirt for 30 minutes.
Yep.
And if we don't play like dirt for 30 minutes, we win that game. And so, and that's on us. That's just why it still sits bad.
Number 1 in total defense and scoring defense in the Big 12 in just the second year, tied for number 1 in the country with 22 interceptions. What impressed you the most about that defense?
So there was a couple things. I think just the team speed that stood out to me at all 3 levels was something that we've really never had. And then I already talked about the tackling.
Yeah,
it was just phenomenal to see open field tackling, and that's been an issue in years past. And the best teams, they block well and they tackle well. That's what football comes down to, and that makes all the difference. And then those turnovers, I mean, that's just it's incredible to see that many turnovers from that many different guys. And we just got ball hawks everywhere and being opportunistic, and then the offense doing something with it, because it's points off turnovers is what really, that's how you get paid. And so those are the things that stood out, and that's why they did the things they did. And you could count on the defense. It was fun as a defensive player to be like, we're going to get a stop here. We're going to get the ball back. We're going to give it to our offense and give ourselves a chance. And it was cool to see that you could count on them. You
played on those kind of defenses. What did those kind of defenses do to the confidence for the quarterback and the offense?
Yeah, it is that. It's a back and forth, and they feed off of each other, and there's real synergy on a team that plays that way. And if you look at that Colorado game, it was total domination, offense, defense, special teams. And it was just so cool to see that, because it was a complete team butt whooping.
Yeah.
And on the greatest stage, like you said, all those things. And it's just fun to see the team work together and gel like that. And it is synergistic. They lift each other up when everybody's doing their job.
In the post-game show, I turned to everybody and I said, this, like, I'm so proud. That's probably an understatement to be an alumni of BYU football. And then I turned to Nick and I said, but I'm even prouder that I am on the defensive side and I'm an alumni, because I've never seen a game like that being dominated the way, most games, right? Like from a top tier opponent to a top tier opponent. Wise, like getting dominated like that, like I don't know if I've seen anything like that in a while. So it made me super proud. And something that you said that really stuck out to me was the team speed overall at every level. I tell a lot of people, if I was on this team now, like there'd be no way I wouldn't even get. First of all, I wouldn't even get recruited. just my measurables. And I remember at my junior college, I was like the 8th fastest person on the team. I came here and I was blazing by far, like, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm slow." You know what I mean? And so that like that statement right there, you're right. And I think the biggest things that from a speed wise that really stands out is at the linebacker position. And Uncle B says this all the time. He tries to compare these guys. So Jack Kelly, Harrison Taggart, and Isaiah Glasgow. He tries to go back to where we had a complete group of guys, and he talks about you and Nick's playing together a lot. And so yeah, you're right. They're coming back. A lot of expectations, but like how good do you think this group can be going into next year?
Yeah, I'm the type that it's like, okay, we did that last year, so now let's take the next step. And it's just cool because there's so many guys coming back, and there's so much potential. And we, like you just said, we haven't had that speed. We've had a guy here and a guy there, but to have it across the board, and it just, if you look at the greatest programs, I just kind of talked about this a minute ago about always knocking on the door, but let's just talk about like the defense. Like you want to create that identity where it's just every year they're just dominant, they're ferocious, they're vicious, and it was just, and I think we have the coaches for that. We have the infrastructure at the school. We've started to see some spending that we haven't seen in prototypical BYU. I mean, there's just so many facets that are starting to align to create not just success, but dominance. And so that's where it's exciting.
I got a linebacker question follow-up for you. First, Michael out of Beaumont, Texas on the stream. Mackey's from Montana. Tom from Vallejo, California. Kelvin from South Jordan, Utah, home from Qatar. So glad you made it home safely. And Neil from Tucson. All on the stream. Everyone listening to Bryan Kehl here on the Wise Guys. Kelly, Harrison, and Glasgow. David Nixon thought that was the best trio together maybe in school history, and you guys had a trio that was really good too, and he cited that. Do you agree with that? Could these three be that good?
Yeah, to have three like that, I'm trying to think just offhand. I can't. I mean, there's been times where there's been two, but I can't think of a time where there's been three that are that athletic and good. I mean, because there's been times where you have guys that are really good, but maybe not that athletic. But I mean, those guys can all run, they can all cover, they can all tackle, they play in space.
All got interceptions.
Before my time, I heard a lot about in the 80s, I this is where it was before my time, so I don't know the overlap, but you had Leon White,
right,
and Kurt Gavea, and then and Glenn Red, and I don't know what the overlap is there. So who knows? This might be
Whittingham was good in there too. Kyle Whittingham.
Oh, Whittingham,
yeah.
So I don't know, but they're special. Just the height, weight, speed combination is what's they all have it. It's unique.
Saw Rob Morris on campus the other day, the freight train, and I said, I still have that wooden whistle. They passed out, but he too. But when you're right, when you talk about three, and they all do three different things from each other, and Glasgow shows his ability to pick off passes when he's leaping around, and the speed, the closing speed of Kelly, and then the hammer with Taggart. It is a unique threesome, which triggers BYU being the number one defense in the Big 12 is just still a concept that we wrestle with because of how they were the year before it, but those three turned it on.
Yeah, so there's a text thread with a bunch of guys that I played with. We call it the BOB, Band of Brothers. That's a Bronco thing. The Bob. BOB text thread.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a good number of defensive guys in there, and we've been commiserating about the defensive woes for a long time.
Right.
And it just the last 2 years, 2 years ago was a breath of fresh air. And then obviously this year was just phenomenal, like just through the roof. And it's just been like celebrations in that, in that text thread with like B said, it's pride. When the institution that you bled and sweat and cried for doesn't show up, and especially the side of the ball that you played on, it hurts. It hurts you in deep. But when they do, when they not just show up, but when they dominate, it does. It fills you with pride. And so, like, B hit it on the head. I'm with him. It makes you proud to because you're a part of that. You're in that. You're woven into that tapestry, and it's special.
Hey, Kelvin wants to know, maybe Bryan can talk about how important it is to have a good D-line to the linebacker core. Oftentimes we hear the linebackers and what they can do for the D-line. What about let's reverse that. How important is the D-line to what you got going on?
Oh, it's everything. I'm not going to people will probably look this up, but I'm kind of throwing somebody under the bus, but I'm not going to name his name. But I played for the Giants, and my third year there, they drafted a kid from Nebraska in the 4th round, and he didn't last very long in the NFL. Nice kid, pretty good football player, but anyway, he played behind a guy at Nebraska that you might have remembered named Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you play behind monsters that gobble up the offensive line, I mean, it's just easy. Football is easy. And so, yeah, the front line, they dictate everything. And when they're taking care of business, playing linebacker is easy because you just run to the ball and make a tackle.
So when you heard Tanavasa was coming down from Utah to anchor that defensive line, what'd you think?
Oh man, well, you always love just getting one up on those guys over there. And you always love when their fan base is sour. So that made me happy. And then the more I hear about this kid, he sounds like a BYU guy. So it's great. Like, it sounds like a great fit, and he's obviously a great player, but it sounds like he's even beyond that. He's like a great person. And so that's just like, let's get that guy in here and let's go. That's exciting.
I think Jay Hill said the other day he might be the best lineman in the country. Is how excited they were to get him. And with the guys they got to replace up front, seemed to be a perfect time for him to settle in. All right, in just a moment, Bryan's going to reveal his top 5 linebackers of all time. NFL, college, Pee Wee, Little League, the top 5. Before we get to that, spring practice starts on February 27th, so just around the corner. What do you want to see this team focus on in spring to meet the expectations you were just talking about here later in the summer?
Yeah, so I think like when I played, it was always the next step. Like each year it was like, okay, I was pretty good at this. Now what can I do this to improve the next year or to get better? And so that's what I hope those guys is focusing on, each individually and then collectively. I would at the end of the year, I would go back. I watched every snap from every game and with a notepad, and I wrote down everything that stood out, like, oh, I can work on this. Oh, I can work on this. This worked. This move worked here. And then the spring is the time where that's the lab. You go to work and improve every little thing. And, this move worked. And then now I can add this counter to it, and et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that's what they're doing. And they played so great last year. So it's like, where can you improve? But there's always room for improvement, and especially individually. So
isn't that what you have to do?
That's what I would hope.
Isn't that what you have to do to get to the NFL? I mean, that's what you had to do to get to the NFL, and you got there.
To be great, yeah. I mean, it's just improvement. There's a lot of guys. I mean, everybody has a different path. I didn't start as a freshman, even though I should have. But I didn't start as a sophomore, even though I should have.
Right.
But I started as a junior, and I obviously started as a senior, and then I got drafted. And everybody's path is different, but my path was a path of improvement, and I got better every year, and it was just always outworking and putting in the grind, and so that was my route. Some guys come in and start as a freshman, and then from there, but it's for me, it's all about progression, and it's getting better every day, and just rising.
Do you remember the first quarterback you sacked in the NFL? Do you remember that play?
Yeah, I think it was no, I can't think of his name. Played for the Vikings.
Who would have been? Who would have been for the Vikings?
See, I got CTE. He played for the Vikings, then he went to the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Tavares
if you go
Jackson?
to the was it?
Tavares Jackson.
Did you take him out? Did you have a clean shot, or how'd you pull him down?
I got him. I actually was my rookie year. I got him, and I got Adrian Peterson in the backfield pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he got up afterward, and he kind of tapped me on the helmet and genuinely, said, "Hey, nice hit."
Nice.
And it was one of those moments that was like, whoa. It was just so cool. And he was like genuine about it. Like, he tapped me on the helmet, like, nice hit, man.
Now, when
cool.
someone does that, do you want to hit him harder the next time, or you're like, man, he's a super nice guy, I just want to bring him down?
No, not him. That's a freight train. So you don't let up. There was no letting up. You're gonna get run over because he ran like a missile. But yeah, no, it was actually just cool. Like, It was a genuine. I was really impressed with that, because everybody's different and has a different demeanor, and it was kind of cool that he's such a superstar. And that interaction was pretty cool.
And you had a pick. Who was your pick against?
It was also that rookie year. It was against the Steelers, who won the Super Bowl that year. So it was Roethlisberger.
You picked off Roethlisberger. Nice.
Yeah, nice. I should have. I needed one block. My corner. I could have taken it to the house. I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, corners aren't going to block.
Just give me a block, man.
Yeah, they're not.
Corners are getting out of there.
Yeah, they're not going to block for you. If they're not getting the ball.
Actually, this is what's crazy. There was one guy that I needed to get, and was the running back, and the corner hit him towards me. It was like, dude, he gave him a boost.
See, this is what happens because most corners usually play offense, right? But they're going to be like, and the offense that they do usually play will be like receivers, and receivers are like prima donnas, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's.
Well, I got an article coming up in the Deseret News on pick sixes, and you can read all about when Bryan took it to the house. So we do have that documented, and that's going to be a lot of fun. 5 questions is presented by Strategy Square, delivering connection, clarity, and confidence in business and marketing strategies. Owned and operated by a BYU alum who's helping the wise guys conquer the world. You can reach Chantal at strategysquare.co. Tonight, Bryan's top 5 linebackers of all time, and we do want to note Bryan had 102 solo tackles, 21 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions at BYU, 95 NFL solo tackles, including sticking Adrian Peterson in the backfield. So he's our expert at the top 5 linebackers, your peers, your colleagues of all time. And I know you've had some time to think about it. Should we go 5 to 1? Should we go 5 through 1?
Yeah,
or how do you want to do it?
5 to 1. And I have my list here, and you opened up that I could add in Pee-wee linebackers, and so
I just didn't want to discriminate.
If we were adding in Pee-wee linebackers, I would throw Nate Nixon, who's already better than his dad, in there, because he plays. I'm the defensive coordinator, and he plays linebacker for me, and he is a monster.
He's such a good kid. All right, we're going to put him at number 6. Nate Nixon at 6.
He can be number 6. He's already 4 times the athlete his dad ever was. So.
If I could choose a Pee Wee linebacker, I would choose the Icebox from Little Giants.
I need to show that movie to my kids.
Oh, you have to. You have to. They'll love it, man.
Okay, let's start with number 5 on the all-time list.
Number 5, I put down Derek Brooks, Tampa Bay.
Ooh, yeah.
How come?
That's a good one.
He's just so versatile. I looked up. He had 5 first-team All-Pros, like 10 Pro Bowls, and he was Defensive Player of the Year and won a Super Bowl, and was just so athletic and just a dominant for a long time.
Derek Brooks, Tampa Bay. All right, number 4.
Number 4, I put Dick Butkus, who my only opportunity to see play was on NFL Crunch Course that I dutifully watched on my VHS every Saturday morning before my Little League games. And so that's how I learned about Dick Butkus.
I think he ate grape nuts without even putting milk on them. I mean, he was just wasn't he just? I had a chance to interview him in Vegas one time, and he was just seemed to capture what a football linebacker is.
That's what I was gonna say. If you had like in the dictionary, there's a picture of Dick Butkus. He's just what a linebacker. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, all right.
Just mean, nasty, no mercy, follow you up into the stands and hit you.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, I put down Mike Singletary.
Okay.
He was. I kind of looked up his stats too. I think he had 7 first-team All-Pros, and he was the Defensive Player of the Year in '85 when his Bears won the Super Bowl, one of the best defenses ever, and was just dominant all throughout and had his big eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And,
NFL films capture those things, put the music in, then he'd talk to his teammates, and he was like, he was it. He was it.
I've met him a few times, and he is just a great man.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, it was another one that, was before my time, but I've seen highlights of him and just was a phenomenal football player.
He fit right into the Bears linebacker lore. We have Butkus, you get Singletary. Okay, that takes us to number 2.
Number 2, I put Ray Lewis,
Ooh.
who I did watch play, who I played against a couple times, and it's just phenomenal football player.
Great leader too.
What's it like when you're on the field playing the same position, or you're against each other, but you're watching him, and then you're going to go back out and do it? What's that like?
It's kind of cool. It is kind of cool because it's a situation where you watch this guy when you were a teenager,
Yeah.
and then now he's across the field from you, and there's all the aura and all that stuff, and it was cool. It was really cool to face them. And a funny Ray Lewis story from Pitta. He I guess he thinks he's a holy man, descended from heaven to grace us with his football.
Are you talking about Dennis, or are you talking about Ray?
Probably both of them. But Ray, so Dennis told me this story. So he has this holy water, Ray does, and he anoints everybody in the locker room. And so he anoints their head, and then he hits them after he anoints them. And Dennis said that as it gets closer to game time, the hit on the head gets more vicious. And he said there's people in the locker room avoiding Ray because they're worried about getting concussed before the game even starts.
That's next level stuff. Did you go shake his hand after the game? Did you get a chance to say hi?
I don't know that I did.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So I don't think I did, but maybe I did. But I did play him a few times and was in awe of being in such a great player. So
That's
cool.
awesome. So Derek Brooks, Dick Butkus, Mike Singletary, Ray Lewis, and now the number 1 all-time greatest linebacker in football history, according to the great Bryan Kehl. Who it is? Who is it?
He's probably the best football player ever, if you ask me. The great Lawrence Taylor.
Yep. Good one.
Lawrence
Changed
Taylor.
the game, revolutionized the sport. Most dominant football. Like he
is. He was a beast. Well, let me ask you this. That's an awesome list. What does Fred Warner have to do to crack into your top 5? How many more years of dominance does he got to be?
It was, so that's he's got the talent of these guys.
Yeah.
So now it's longevity. So staying healthy and keep doing what he's doing. And it was kind of cool when I made this list because I didn't know how many All-Pros these guys had made. And so that was kind of cool to see how many first-team All-Pros these guys had made. And then I was curious who had the most first-team All-Pros, which was no surprise, was Jerry Rice with 10 first-team All-Pros, which is just ludicrous.
Crazy, yeah.
That's nuts. That's
and then
nuts.
there's a couple guys with 9 and, a few guys with 8. And that's what Lawrence Taylor had, 8 first-team All-Pros. So I think, what's Fred at? Is he at 3 or 2?
I think 3.
This will be this last
It's
one.
been 3 in a row, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's cool is he's on the trajectory. So now it's just longevity, stay healthy, and keep producing. But it's cool. You talk about pride. It's cool that the best linebacker in the NFL is from your school.
Yeah.
Who was the little high school kid when you walked by the office and Coach Kelly Papinga's like, Kehl, come here, come, we got to get this guy here. Come talk to this kid.
So you helped close the deal?
Yeah, I mean, so basically what I'm saying is that if it weren't for me, Fred wouldn't have come to BYU. Like, I didn't want to come out and say it like that way, but, basically, if it weren't for me, he wouldn't have come. But,
so Dennis was on the show last week, and we were talking about the Alumni Game, and we talked about your catch, and he said that was the single greatest football play of your life, and that he's sure you have the game-winning football somewhere in your office. But that game's coming up here in a month. It's a lot of fun. Are you a hard commit to be back?
Oh man, I texted Jack the other day asking when the game is, and he never texted me back. So I'm already training. I'm excited. I love that, and I'm not surprised that Dennis would throw shade because B talked about Dennis was a receiver who played tight end, and Dennis could not block, and Dennis is a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal tight end, but he could not block. And in practice, he had to try to block me, and he never did once. So that's why he wants to throw shade
Not one
at
time.
me. That's why he has to throw shade at me anytime he can, because he's still sad that he could never block me. But Dennis is a phenomenal pass catcher.
Yeah, the great Bryan Kehl. We look forward to seeing you next month out there at the Lavelle Edwards Stadium. The game's there this year. We're not at the old Provo High. And what's fun for Blaine and I to call this game is that all you guys get back together like you never left down on the field. And there are guys with a little less hair and a few less moves. But even last year when Steve Young came down and quarterbacked a few series, I mean, is there anything more special for a group of alumni than to get together and play a flag football game in the stadium?
No, I mean, it's so cool. I had a poster of Ty Detmer on my wall when I was a kid, and I was 8 years old and got his autograph at the Holiday Bowl. And that's a core memory that is critical to my fandom of BYU. And then, 2 years ago to play against him, I mean, it's like I could pinch myself. It's just so cool. And then when same thing with Steve, I worship Steve when he was in the NFL. The 49ers were my favorite team, and he threw a pass in the end zone in that alumni game that I tipped. And I mean, it's just such a highlight. It's just so cool. When you grew up just idolizing these guys that were legends of your school, and then to play against them. And yeah, it's so fun.
Be a fun night coming up here next month as we dive into spring football. Bryan Kehl with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on the show. We look forward to having you back on, and we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. I'll tape back up and out there at Lavelle Edwards Stadium where you were a human highlight film along with Nix and some of the legends. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
All right, B, get ready. Get ready, man. It's time.
I'll see you there.
All right.
B.
See you there.
It's going to be fun. I love that. I love exactly what he said. It's fun for the fans to watch guys like Bryan, guys like you, guys like Steve, guys like Ty, guys like Max that they cheered for. But it means more for you guys just to be out there horsing around in between plays and before and after. And it was a genius idea that they came up with a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we love broadcasting it because it's fun to show camaraderie and culture on the field for guys who some of them hadn't seen each other for at least a year from the last game, some longer than that, and it's just cool.
I think the thing that makes it special is that, like, for some of us, we like my DB group, it's cool to play with those guys and then play with them now in the alumni game. It's like, man, we did this 10, 15 years ago. Now we're doing it again. So it brings back all those memories. And this last year we got convicted. My group got convicted. So we said, okay, once a month we're going to go have dinner. And we've been doing it. And we said that we shouldn't have, like, especially guys that live here in the state. Guys are 10 minutes away from us, and
Let's be honest, you guys still like to look good on TV.
Well,
you don't want to look bad on TV.
This was going to bring me to my next thing. I think the production of what you guys do in BYU TV, and I understand this now, just dabbling in other, networks here locally, like news networks, but from the quality and of the production is phenomenal. I hear from fans all the time. It's like, man, like it's so cool to see you guys interact, and we get all these up close, moments, and then just how they put it on as well. Like we have jerseys, they give us gear.
It's all serious.
I mean, it's like the announcements when we run out the tunnel. I mean, it's a true game day atmosphere. I mean, we have referees, right? Like it's you couldn't get any more legit than it is from a quality standpoint.
And this is the first alumni game after an 11-2 season.
Right, exactly. And it's getting bigger too, because my mom every day she's like, have you worked out? Are you working out? Did you get anybody yet?
She knows.
Oh yeah. When BYU announced it, she took a screenshot and sent it to me. She was like, "Get ready, old man." That's
off the couch. Let's go.
That's her exact words.
Michael on the live stream. Please let the alumni game be broadcast this year. It'll be on BYU TV live on Friday night. March 27th. So we're looking forward to it, and we're gonna have a good time.
You know what?
Just hope for weather that's good. It's spring. You never know, but we'll hope for the best.
What's really cool, like for somebody like me that hasn't been a part of the program, like growing up, obviously I am now. It was really I felt accepted, because a lot of alumni would come up, guys that played corner. And say, hey man, thanks for everything that you did for the program, or like, man, you were one of my favorite corners that I watched, during your era. And for a guy that hasn't, grown up in the church and in the culture, and didn't really know what BYU was until I got my first recruiting call, if it feels, I say accepted, but I can't. It's hard to articulate what that means for you to be accepted into a family that has such great history in a program that's on the rise. Yeah. So, I don't know how other alumni are, but this group, like our alumni, and even people that didn't play sports, there's a connection that I can't describe. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Shoot.
March 28th, Friday night at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. The alumni game on BYU TV. Look forward to that. We'll have much more on that as we march closer. It's always a fun for us as broadcasters. It's a lot of fun because you guys are having so much fun. Let's talk about the football schedule. I want to get your opinion on it, Bilo. All of us have had a chance to look at it for the most part and think about it, but let's run through it, and then we'll get to a lot of campus. There's so much going on. Love that interview with Bryan Kehl. I thought it was awesome. Took us into some places where this show gets to take people, because you can expound on stuff, and next thing you know, we're talking about him dropping Adrian Peterson in the backfield and tapping him on his helmet. That's just cool. Yeah. All right, so August 30th is when it starts for BYU with Portland State. The season actually begins August 23rd with Kansas State and Iowa State playing each other in Dublin, Ireland. So typically the last weekend of the year for that game, it's going to the first year, and it's going to the middle of August almost. But that'll be awesome to have football starting that early. The 30th for Portland State, then Stanford at home on the 6th, a bye on week 13, and then East Carolina on September 20th. And then the rest was announced this past week with the Big 12, and it's going to start where it ended. It's going to start against Colorado, the team BYU blew out in the Alamo Bowl, but it's going to be in Boulder on Saturday, September 27th. This one feels like primetime Fox all over it. Yeah. And we had 8 million watching the Alamo Bowl. There's going to be a big chunk of folks watching it again. Yeah,
this will definitely be a night game for sure. It'll be prime time. Especially because Colorado finished ranked last year, right? 25th, and BYU did. So if both teams are undefeated, well, they should be ranked high preseason. If not, maybe Colorado slightly outside of the top 25. BYU will 100% be in top 25. And so if both teams can stay undefeated up to that game, especially being a conference opener, and all the hype is going to be from last. This is a scary one. Yeah. Because there's certain games in your life as a player that when you, like a revenge game, right? Like when you get whooped, and you get whooped badly, and when you get embarrassed, that's a good one. When you get embarrassed, you're like this next. Oh yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
they got embarrassed.
A lot of those guys are going to remember. And that's going to be a talking point.
The good news is, though, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter won't be on the team.
That's what gives me a little bit of hope.
So they're going to have some newness. But that atmosphere in Boulder, the place will be sold out, and it's great to take an experienced quarterback in there.
Yeah.
Which BYU has,
right.
An experienced team, which they have, a really good defense with most returning, which they have,
yep.
to go up against Colorado in that environment where a win will put you in the top 10.
Yeah. No,
if you're 3-0, a win puts you in the top 10.
Yeah, that's the comfort there.
So I like that.
Yeah,
I like that opener.
Yeah, that's a great point. You have a lot of experience and mature experience that have been in hostile environments. This won't be nothing. It shouldn't phase them, but I'm still nervous.
Yeah. October 3rd, a Friday night, the next week, a general conference weekend. So the Big 12 has bringing West Virginia to town, and that'll be the first home game in nearly a month.
I don't like
Mountaineers' first trip to Provo. So Doug Paisley, who's been on this show, he's the dad of Brad Paisley, the country star. And they're both West Virginia fans, big time. So we're trying to get Doug to bring Brad out to sing the national anthem. For their Mountaineers.
Nice,
and we're working on that. We'll see what happens. But Doug and I became pretty good friends years ago. Blaine and I met on the sideline of the BYU West Virginia game in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
Taysom and Jamal.
Yeah.
And so then he and I just stayed in touch. When they come out, we'll go see the band and hang out. He's got a BYU shirt he wears when he drives the tour bus.
Nice.
Except for when we're playing West Virginia. So we're working on the Paisleys. They're great people.
That'll be a win.
And it should be.
Yeah.
That's a long ways away, and it'll be a night game, certainly be an ESPN game for October 3rd. October 11th, BYU goes over to Arizona to reunite with the Wildcats, who they beat 41-19 here in Provo last year. What do you think of that one?
I think that'll be another win. T-Mac is gone. They're number one. I think he finished number one or top 5 in the nation.
Their receiver?
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
He's projected right now to be drafted in the first round, like 15 to like 25. So that's how good of an athlete he is. And I think a lot of the offense, it was all him. He's gone. Quarterback still staying. I don't see anything spectacular coming back for this team. I don't know how they did in the transfer portal or with recruiting, but yeah, I think Arizona had their little
bump up.
Well, they had their little moment of like usually the Arizona schools tend to have like these mediocre seasons, and then every blue moon they'll have like a 11-2 or a bright spot.
Like what Arizona State just did.
Exactly. Like that. Usually they're not they don't sustain those types of seasons consistently. So I don't see Arizona being a problem at all.
October 18th, BYU's back home to play Utah. It's the first October game against the Utes since October 28, 1967.
Gosh.
Like 57 years ago. BYU beat them 17-13, which feels right. So they're in October now. The Cougars won 2 straight in the series, 22-21 last year, and a dramatic finish. This feels like another primetime Fox game.
Yeah.
A 6 o'clocker, so the whole country's got it. I think it's got to be, or why else would you put it in the middle of October when you could put it at the end of the season? So you get it. If you're going to put it there, then put it prime time and let these two teams go after it.
Yeah, a lot of people were, wondering why this game isn't scheduled for rivalry week, and I immediately thought of that maybe they're the league is trying to really highlight this matchup and make it known, like promote it more on a national level. Because all you heard last year after that game, just the average college football fan was like, holy cow, I had no idea it was this dramatic. I had no idea about the history. I heard about the Holy War, but I didn't know the history behind it. Yeah. And I even saw some tweets that from just average college football fans that were like, BYU, Utah, thank you for the entertainment tonight.
And it was a late night, 8:30, November 9th. If you're not going to have it rivalry weekend, move it up. Mm-hmm. Even put it in the afternoon on Fox or sometime, but not 8:30 at night.
Because what are their rivalry like historic and or just national in the Big 12? Yeah. Besides BYU, Utah.
Well, with Texas and Oklahoma out.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
The last 5 games in this rivalry have started after 8 p.m. So if you're going to do that, then okay, put it in the middle of October so fans don't have to bundle up.
Yeah.
And we'll have a great time at the stadium, pregame show and all that with BYU TV and all that stuff. So October 25th, here's the interesting one. After the emotional Utah game, and it always is, no matter what the score is and all that stuff, and there's collateral damage, maybe it's emotionally or whatever, but coming out of there, it takes a while to recover. Yeah. But they got Iowa State the following Saturday, October 25th. Battle of contenders, didn't meet last year. And if the Cougars, I think, are in contention after this game, if they're still in contention after this game, they're in great shape.
Yeah, I don't like this one. I don't like Iowa State after Utah. You have another.
It's the worst possible time to play Iowa State.
Literally, literally. And it's due to just how Iowa State is a program, and like recently is kind of built like a BYU as far as physicality, right? I think our athleticism is far above them, but they're kind of just those like kids that are overlooked recruiting wise, right? For whatever reasons. They're probably going to have a lot of 2-3 stars, but their program is built off of development. And so a lot of that is guys that are working hard, being extremely physical. And when you are coming off of a Utah game, like you said, not only just emotionally, but like physically, right? Like we found out a couple like weeks after how bad Jake was beat up after the Utah game. We didn't, fans, we didn't know that, some of the injuries that he sustained. So having to play a physical and emotional game and then having to go and play another physical team on the road, that's
a tough spot.
I mean, somebody, when I looked at that, I was like, somebody hates us.
Well, there's a respite after that because November 1st is a bye. And then at Texas Tech on November 8th, that's a mystery game.
Yeah, that is a mystery game.
Kind of a toss-up. Texas Tech did a lot in the portal. They're either going to be really good or not good at all. Cougars didn't play the Red Raiders last year. So then they come home November 15th. They've got TCU, who they didn't play last year. I like that game in Provo.
That's a win. That's a win.
November 22nd, they go to Cincinnati. Didn't play them last year.
That's a win.
That should be a win. If you still have the league's #1 defense, that should be a win.
Yep.
And if your returning starting quarterback is still standing upright,
yes,
there's the opportunity. So everything factors into good health like it did last year.
And Cincinnati, they had a new head coach last year, so this will be year number 2. So you should see some improvement, right? Yeah. I mean, you saw with Coach Hill when he came, there was a huge improvement defensively, and then going into the second year, I mean, it was like what Bryan Kehl said earlier. You saw the progression, so you should see a little bit of that, but they don't scare me enough to worry.
But now we do know that the league does not like UCF because the Knights are coming to Provo on November 29th. And it was an ice bowl last November. It's going to be an ice bowl again, and Central Florida is coming to Provo, and so that sets up nicely. November sets up nicely for BYU if they I go back to if coming out of the Iowa State game, win or lose, if they are still in contention, then November is set up nicely to stay in contention, and then you need the ball to bounce your way, and all of a sudden you're back in the Alamo Bowl or a step up in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Big 12 championship game for sure.
Like the Colorado West. I mean, like Colorado, West Virginia. I think those are obviously winnable. I mean, Colorado, who knows? Because they always have athletes, great athletes, but they're starting over offensively. Arizona's a win. I mean, there's. The only games that scare me is Utah and Iowa State. Colorado a tad, but I feel like this is set up in our favor.
Isn't it interesting? Because last year when we had this conversation, 9 games scared us.
It's so true.
Now all of a sudden it's like, well, 1 or 2.
Right.
But we stayed healthy last year. Defense forced, 29 turnovers.
Yeah.
And the quarterback played well. And went 11-2.
It's the returning starter. So when the pregame or preseason rankings come out, a lot of what's in that formula is the returning starters, but the returning starters with production. And how good was that production the previous year? And BYU checks a lot of those boxes all the way around. So it wouldn't surprise me if BYU was ranked much higher than what we think. I would think minimum 15, like or highest.
Top 15 would be great.
I could see BYU being ranked, like 11ish.
Yeah.
I could see that just because of the return. I mean, you see Jake Retzlaff, he's in magazines and stuff now.
Yeah.
So
he's living the best life.
So a lot of you and I know this as analysts and guys that are in the media and are doing voting and for all conference and first team that, second team that. A lot of it is branding and brand recognition, and he's obviously making a name for himself. But BYU is now made a name for itself as well. So we're getting, I think, along with that brand recognition, we should start to get the respect that we deserve, and I think that they'll be higher. So
it'll be exciting to see. Clint from Westlake Village, California on the stream. Great conversations as always. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you for carving in some of your Monday night for us here on the Wise Guys. All over the world on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and wiseguys.com. Some other notable games in the Big 12 that we know will take place. We mentioned Iowa State, Kansas State. On September 20th, Arizona State is going to go to Baylor. Baylor turned it around the backside of last season, and they're set up to be pretty good. And Arizona State, that'll be their Big 12 opener after going to the Big 12 championship game and winning it.
Yeah, we got lucky with
no Scatterboo, but they're going to be tough, Arizona State.
Yeah, they'll be tough. I don't think they'll be like 10-win tough, but they'll be. I mean, their quarterback is still young, and he's
Levitt kid.
Yeah, he makes me nervous for the future. I think, but Scatterboo was their main guy there. Is Iowa State and Kansas State? Is that a non-conference game?
No, league game.
It's a league game.
Dublin, Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're starting how they ended. Right?
Wow.
We needed Kansas State to beat Iowa State, and they couldn't do it. Thanks, Kansas State.
So, look, I think Iowa State will I think Kansas State will win that game.
I think somebody's a 1-point favorite already. They're going to action on that. September 27th, Utah's at West Virginia. That's a long ways away. BYU went back there and got pounded. We'll see what West Virginia has. And then October 25th, another interesting one, Kansas State is at Kansas. Folks think Kansas is going to be good this year. And so those are just a few of the notables. Now, there are a couple of tough stretches for the Utes. We talked about BYU's tough stretches, but here's what Utah's got as they try to rebound from whatever they had last season. In the middle of the season, Arizona State at BYU, Colorado. That's a tough trio of games.
At Arizona State?
Home against Arizona State, at BYU, home against Colorado. And then their last three games, at Baylor, Kansas State, and at Kansas.
Ooh,
so
yeah,
that's they got two tough. The league's tough everywhere. BYU certainly has a tough stretch with Iowa State and then Utah before them and Texas Tech. That three thing is going to be tough. But the Utes have a couple too. But October 18th is when we'll settle all the accounts. But that'll be awesome. So that's just around the corner. We're gonna have to wait a little while. But fortunately, we've got basketball. I mean, the big dance is next month, for crying out loud. But let's talk about BYU hoops and then get you up to speed on what's going on campus as we roll through here in the Wise Guys. Let me do this. Let's do our Cougar Board question of the week before we officially shift out of football to men's basketball. If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans with thousands of posts every day. This question comes from Seth J250, one of their insider subscribers. He asks, we had several signees to the football team last week, 4 to be exact. Which of these do you see making an immediate impact, if any? And who do you see making the most impact long term? We're talking about McKay Madsen, Landon Goff, Jordan Chris, and Jacob Nye. Those are the 4 that were added that finished off the class of 30 that included 22 kids back in December, 8 transfer portal kids, and then these 4 youngsters, with Madsen being the 4-star, going out on his mission. I believe Goff's going out on his. I don't know if we'll see anything immediately from this group, but if you go back below to January and talk about Keanu Tanavasa, Hunter Clegg, who's coming back to BYU after his mission, commit to Utah. BYU really wanted him a couple of years ago. They're really glad they got him now. Andrew Gentry, the transfer from Michigan on the offensive line. Tausili Akana, the defensive lineman, transfer from Texas. Those guys should all make immediate impact, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they should. Well, especially anybody that is playing at the D1 level and is transferring, so transfer portal guys should all be able to make an immediate impact, just because they are familiar with this level and they're acclimated to workouts, expectations, right? Speed of the game, all those things. Freshmen coming in, it's really hard to get acclimated, not only because of speed of the game and you're playing with grown men and not little boys in high school anymore, but there's also other factors like first time away from mom and dad and college, school and whatnot. But I think our D line will like he'll have the biggest impact, and we talk about this defense and the purpose of the defense, and we talk about with Bryan Kehl having defensive linemen that are going to be block eaters, and you add that to a linebacking core that was absolutely phenomenal, and arguably what we said earlier in the show with Bryan Kehl, maybe the best trio in BYU history.
Right.
And so, I think that's where the biggest impact, will be made. It's hard defensive wise because like what Bryan said, as you start to think about it, like they were so dominant in most of the games and throughout the season. It's like, what can they really improve on? And what I also like too is that a lot of younger guys, they got some experience, whether through blowouts or through injuries, and a lot of times you didn't really see a huge drop off. So but I think that's where the biggest impact will be from a further down the road. Like I watched McKay Madsen's highlight tape, and oh my gosh, we talked earlier, and I said before the show, I said I was praying and hoping that he plays running back, because the stuff that this kid is able to do and how fast he is, he's 6'2", 235. Like, are you sure you're 18? Did your parents did you start school at 8 years old? Because you're a grown man, right now. So he already has a D1 body. So I don't want to say it's unfortunate that he's going on a mission first, because that God is first and we're faith-based.
Thank you, Milo, for acknowledging that.
But I was a little sad. My heart was a little broken when you said he was going on a mission.
LJ Martin needs to be that guy this year. But we're going to see McKay Madsen in a couple years. And in that video, you can see it on YouTube, he runs like Luke Staley. That's not saying he's going to be a Doak Walker Award winner like Luke Staley, but he runs like him. And not everyone can look like Luke Staley when they run. He does.
Yeah.
And he had a great California year, played linebacker too, so he's a stud. He kind of wants to play both. And Kalani said the other day he wanted to play running back. But you know who else played both? Tyler Algier played both.
Yeah.
Not at the same time, but he kind of went back and forth. Madsen's big enough to go, I'm going to make some tackles over here. Hey, Travis Hunter did it, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to run some balls.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I think that's a huge one.
I think anybody that has got their body to that size at such an early age, I mean, he's literally he has an NFL body like right now, so anybody that has trained that way and got his body to that point at such a young age tells me that he takes his conditioning and training extremely serious. And any kid that does that has an opportunity to play both ways as long as they...
He's got some gifts, certainly.
Yeah, for sure.
Michael says on the stream, as long as BYU can stay reasonably healthy, they can go undefeated until they prove me wrong. Nice job, Michael. More power to you. It's a great idea. Men's hoops, 15-8, 6-6 in the Big 12. John Rothstein reporting BYU and AJ DeBonsa going to headline the Diamond Head Classic over Thanksgiving the Thanksgiving holiday in Hawaii. That's the same weekend that BYU hosts UCF in the Big 12 regular season finale. But DeBonce we had some video of him this morning on Sports Nation. He had 49 or something the other night in the game.
49?
He's a machine.
Crazy.
And he's on Sports Nation every week doing interviews with us.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's coming. And there's going to be some guys that are coming with him as soon as that portal opens. It's going to be a very intriguing time, as if it isn't already for BYU basketball. But DeBanza and the Cougars going to the Diamond Head Classic. Now, as for the current group, we mentioned 6-6. Cincinnati used an 18-0 run in the second half to pull ahead of BYU and run off to an 84-66 victory Saturday in Ohio. Much different experience than the Cougars' 28-point win against Cincinnati last month in Provo. They got out rebounded 32-17. Cannon Catching's just a couple of shots is all. He's had some big games as of late. Didn't have a big one there coming off the bench. Yegor Demon took a lot of shots. Struggled a bit. The whole team fell apart in the second half, and Cincinnati was red hot. Yeah. You watched it while you were in the kitchen.
I did.
Yeah, and it created a bad experience for you.
Yeah, it made my food taste horrible. No, but I felt like it was one of those nights. You know, when a team is just on fire and they're just hot. I felt like that was what Cincinnati was, and it got to a point where. And this is when I stopped cussing, where I just accepted it. Like maybe it's just one of those nights for them. Yeah. And then I started to, kind of just take a seat back and just kind of look at just a little bit of the effort. I don't know. It looked like, I don't want to say that BYU didn't give effort. They just looked a little tired to me, I guess.
They just got run out of the gym.
I didn't feel like the energy. That's probably a good way to say that, because you could have effort but not have high energy. And I just think when you look at the Arizona game and then you look at the Cincinnati game, those stretches of where BYU doesn't score is where they get hurt. And I like what Coach Young tried to do with subbing the starters out and putting some of the bench in to try to get a spark. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen that all year, which kind of maybe confirms my theory of, hey, like, guys, you just aren't playing. So if you don't want to play, if you don't want to bring the energy, I'll put guys in there that will play.
Yeah, and he did. Yeah. On the stream, Robert's in from Ridgecrest, California, and Conrad checking in from San Diego. Didn't expect to see Bilo tonight, but glad he's here.
Hello.
Thanks, Conrad.
I'll be here next Monday, too.
So Arizona used a 24-8 run. Feels like that game was forever ago, but it was last Tuesday.
Right.
They got a 24-8 run in the second half. So 22-2 run for the Bearcats, 24-8 for Arizona. They beat the Cougars 85-74. Dominated the glass again, 45-30. BYU has to do better on the glass tomorrow against West Virginia. Cougars shot 10 of 34 from 3, 2 of 15 the second half in their gym. That's tough. Arizona shot free throws like a first-place team, 15 of 17, and they're in first place. I think they're tied with Houston. If not, they're a game back. Demon had 16, but he was 7 of 20 from the field, 2 of 9 from 3. They're going to play again in Tucson on February 22nd. So we'll see what adjustments BYU makes going up against a top 20 team in the Wildcats. As we sit tonight on the Wise Guys, the net is 41, Ken Palm's 37, and Joe Lenardi's bracketology has BYU among the last 4 to the big dance.
I mean, at this point, it's what are we playing for, right?
We're playing for the big dance.
For the dance.
But I think we've always been playing for the big dance.
Well,
Houston and Arizona, they're cut above. They're playing for the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
BYU's playing for the big dance.
Yeah, and
next year they'll play for the championship.
For the championship. Oh yeah. Oh,
I mean, that'll be the goal.
We talk about expectations for the football team. Oh my Lord, I pray for those guys right next year on that team. But no, I think I heard an interview I think a couple weeks ago on Sports Nation with some analyst, and it was. I mean, I loved what he said. He said, it's not necessarily about winning the big games. It's more about not losing the bad ones.
That was Sean Farnham from ESPN.
And I was like, that's a that's really insightful because I think as fans, sometimes as analysts, we're like, okay, if we can knock off Arizona, if we can knock off, Iowa State, like this will help the resume. Well, obviously it will, but not losing to a bad team. And I think you look at the rest of the schedule, it's doable. So at this point, I kind of feel like it's more of not trying to like steal one. I mean, obviously you want to, but at this point it's more of like maintaining. Because if you get in, if you're the last team, I don't care. We still got in, right?
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares how you get in?
First year head coach in a tough league with a bunch of new players.
Yeah.
You get into the big dance. That's a great season.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're in the first play-in day. It doesn't matter. Just get in.
Just get in.
Big 12 standings. Houston and Arizona, they're both 11-1, so they're both tied. Texas Tech's third. Iowa State's 4. Baylor, Kansas tied for 5th. BYU, Kansas State, and West Virginia sitting at 6-6 in 7th place. In the AP Top 25, Houston 6. Iowa State's 10, Texas Tech's 12, Arizona's now up to 13. They were 20th last week, so they jumped to 13. And Kansas, who will be here next Tuesday, is number 17. Tonight, Houston and Baylor are playing in Houston. That's a big game.
Yeah.
Just getting underway.
Who did Arizona lose to in league?
Houston? want to think it was Houston or might have been Texas Tech.
Okay.
But those two are clearly the class of the conference
look
here
at
in the
those,
regular
look at those
season.
rankings.
Yeah. All right. That's what we got coming. The games don't get any easier.
No.
Tomorrow night, BYU's at West Virginia. Both teams 15-8, 6-6 in the league. 5:00 Mountain Time, and that's on the CBS Sports Network. So check your cable listing, CBS Sports Network, 5:00 Mountain, BYU at West Virginia. The Mountaineers beat Utah 72-61 in Morgantown on Saturday, so they're a little homestand for them. I was there last year with baseball. Man, that's a long ways away.
Really?
It is so far from here. It might as well be on another planet, but it's a charming place. And
is it college town?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they're the Mountaineers aren't world beaters either, but it's Morgantown, and that's the place to be.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a lively crowd there tomorrow. Saturday, Kansas State is at BYU. 7:00 on ESPN Plus, 6 p.m. pregame show on BYU TV. The Wildcats upset Kansas last week, 81-73. They're on fire. They're the hottest team in the league over the last 3 weeks. They've been coming on. All right, here's some notable Big 12 games this week. They're all so big, we just try to pick some of the notable ones. As mentioned, Baylor at Houston tonight. BYU at West Virginia tomorrow. Arizona's at Kansas State tomorrow. Remember that Kansas State's coming here Saturday. Houston's at Arizona Saturday. K-State here Saturday. Kansas is at Utah on Saturday. And then the Jayhawks will stick around and come up and play or come down or whatever. Yeah. Come to Utah Valley and play on Tuesday night. So that's the Jayhawks weekend plans.
Houston at Arizona should be a good one. That'd be a good matchup.
There's a question from Larry on the stream. Is Darius Lasser going to return next season because of the junior college ruling? We understand he's planning on it. The NCAA's taken their time on clearing some of these guys. Until they clear them, then, that's what they're waiting on. But from what I understand, he's here. He's working out. I believe he's in school. He's ready for spring. His intention is to come back. Yeah. But you've got to have the rubber stamp to do it. And Corey Mamba's also Bamba is waiting to Maury Bamba's waiting to get the same clearance. But they're hopeful both those guys.
Yeah, because they didn't. I haven't seen any announcements.
Caleb Etienne thought he might get the clearance and didn't.
And
they went, so he's going to
that's
the draft.
Why he announced.
Yeah.
I thought he would stay here.
Yeah, I thought he might too, but that one didn't work out. But they're anticipating these two, and I don't know all the details, and it's hard to know what the NCAA is going to do ever.
You know why?
But that's the answer to that one. He's just waiting.
You know why he didn't get cleared? He needs to go to Congress, like the.
But I don't have a problem with that because he's first team All Big 12. If you're going to go to the NFL,
true.
As a left tackle, be the first team All Big 12,
and his size too,
and have to produce at the combine and that kind of stuff. But gosh, that's a springboard.
Yeah,
you're first team Big 12.
Yeah,
go for it.
I mean, he would. I think he would have got it again this year.
Possibly. That would have been nice to come back, but he's not. He's declaring. But Lassiter's planning on coming back. We'll just see. We'll keep you posted on that.
That would be huge.
Yeah. Women's basketball, 12-11, now 3-9 in the league. Delaney Gibb, by the way, today was named the Big 12 Freshman of the Week for the 7th time this season. 7.
Hey.
It's a magnificent 7.
Hey, look.
Making her case for freshman All-American and starting a phenomenal career.
Look, I'm a little nervous about this one. You know, NIL and transfer portals. Every time I see,
not everybody.
I don't know.
Not everybody's unhappy.
I don't know.
Velo.
That's not about. It's not about being unhappy. It's about the money. It's about. That's what scares
Money
me.
doesn't buy happiness. How many times we got to go over this?
Man, I know this.
Listen,
I understand.
It's a different game these days for college athletes. But if you have a nice NIL and you love where you're at,
yeah, you stay.
You're good.
All I'm saying is
the grass isn't necessarily greener even if the money's a little greener on the other side.
Maybe we should start like a NIL GoFundMe on the channel for her, specifically for her.
She's phenomenal. There's a handful of freshmen on that team that are playing great, but the team is struggling with turnovers. Baylor beat the Cougars 83-71 Saturday in Waco. Delaney had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 6 turnovers. BYU had 26 turnovers to Baylor's 13. So you go into Waco. Baylor's good anyway.
Yeah.
And here's the challenge with this team, and Amber Whiting has been on the show a couple of times, and we've talked about it. The challenge on this team is you're going up against a good team already, and then you give them 26 extra possessions. Like, hey, we're here to beat you. We got to play really good to beat you, and we're going to give you the ball 26 more times. And that's impossible.
Yeah, you're giving the game away.
And that's been the trouble. Turnovers have been the trouble.
I would want to see too the points off of turnovers.
Yeah,
because that's. I mean, obviously, like you said, second chances, opportunities from turnovers, and obviously rebounds. But then
I think Baylor took 24 more shots.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And they only won by 12.
Oh,
you cut down those turnovers, you're right there.
You're in the game. Yeah.
BYU beat UCF in Provo 73-66. Delaney had 19. Amari Whiting had 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. So that was one they held on to. This week, it's tough. They're all tough, but tomorrow night, the women are at number 11 TCU at 5:30 Mountain Time. And then Saturday, they're home for number 20 Oklahoma State at 3 Mountain Time. Both those games available on ESPN Plus and BYU Radio. But this is a tough part of the schedule for a team that's having a hard time taking care of the basketball. Some big news from the women's side. Tressa Spalding-Hampson's number 54 going to be retired on February 22nd when the Cougars host Arizona State, who they beat down in Tempe. The 6'7", 3-time All-American started at BYU between 1983 and 1987, and the Hampsons have 3 of their daughters also played for the Cougars, Jen, Sarah, and Heather. Heather's currently a junior on the team. They're all 6'7". That's just how they roll. Wise Guys congratulates Tressa, and her number 54 will hang in the rafters at the Marriott Center where it rightfully belongs. That'll be a special night coming up on February 22nd.
Her middle name is Spalding?
That's her maiden name.
Her maiden name, Spalding?
Yeah.
Oh, she,
and her married name
like Spalding, like the basketball?
Yeah.
Oh, she was born for this.
Well, she's going in the rafters. Good for her. Men's volleyball's 8-4. The new poll has them number 7. They swept number 15 UCSB 3-0 at the Smith Fieldhouse. Going to play Concordia now. MPSF play starts Thursday and Friday. That's at 8 Mountain Time on Big Ten Network Plus. The next time they're home is against Barry University. I didn't even know Barry. It's just Barry. You're going to play Barry on February 21st and 22nd.
I never even heard of Barry.
Yeah, well, they're coming.
Are they good?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just Barry or if they're coming with a whole team. But Barry's going to be here. A chance to see the men's volleyball team. They're exciting, and the field house is packed, and it's a raucous environment.
Anytime anybody that hasn't been out there to the Smith Fieldhouse, I would recommend that you go. I try to go whenever I can. The atmosphere is I love how like close and tight everybody is, and how on top of like how it's built and the structure of it. Man, like, do you remember that? This reminded me. Do you remember that one incident that we had with the whole racial thing, and nothing happened. I was so mad. That was like one of my maddest moments. This one, I started to hate LeBron. You know, when he said what he said.
There was a lot of mistakes made through that. Oh, my
gosh. Yeah. Anyway, I brought that up. Fans go out and support, and it's a good environment.
By the way, Conrad says Barry's a brand new Division II team. They just expanded, so Barry's coming to the field house.
So they suck.
All right, update us on softball, would you?
Okay.
They're not going to beat us. We do know that.
No D2 school. So softball is 3-0. Beat UC San Diego 8-0. Oh, we're good. We're good this year.
We're just starting out. It's a long journey. It's like 52 games.
Well, check this out. Beat Winthrop 14-3, and then they beat Portland State 9-1.
Yeah.
Those numbers, that's like dominating.
Those are good numbers against those teams.
This week,
so they're in Mexico.
They're in Mexico. Yeah.
Puerto Vallarta College Challenge. How would it be down there playing softball in Mexico? It'd be fantastic.
It would be, yeah. I paused because I was thinking about all the things that I could do to get in trouble that I would be nervous about.
Why did you just go right to the trouble? Why did you just?
No, I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. I'm like my heart started beating. Like, oh my gosh,
go to the light.
Too much.
Go to the light. Don't go to the trouble.
Too much temptation.
Don't go to the trouble.
Too much temptation down there. And then so Wednesday they play North Dakota State. Thursday, Illinois State. Friday, Boise State. Saturday, Indiana. Saturday, Florida International.
Indiana, the schedule get a little tougher with Boise State and Indiana. We'll see how they do. They're off to a nice start. Baseball season openers this week. Friday night, Valentine's night at Fresno State at 7 Mountain. Saturday, a doubleheader that starts at 3 Mountain. And then Monday night, 7 o'clock Mountain, BYU at Fresno State. All those games on BYU Radio or the BYU Radio app. I'm going to be on the call there, and so we'll get baseball season started. Senior pitcher Cannon Dolly arrested over the weekend, accused of lewdness involving a child. He was expected to compete for the closer role with the team this season, so a loss on the roster, and we wish him the best in the challenges he has ahead, but that just happening over the weekend, and a blow to the team for sure, but certainly much more serious than that. And gymnastics had a decent weekend, even though they got beat.
Yeah, number 21. At number 21, defeated BYU 196.625. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
To 195.825. The Cougars' point total is the season best.
So the Pioneers beat Brigham Young. That's what happened over the weekend.
You know, I think if you lose, you like. Obviously, it sucks to lose. You don't want to lose. But if you do lose, you do want to lose to a really good team, a ranked team, a ranked opponent.
Yeah.
And you also want to lose in a close way. I think that gives you, as an athlete, it gives you a little bit more of hope. Like, you know what, we can compete with these guys. And you take that opportunity, that loss, and you're able to learn from it and grow from it.
This week, gymnastics at West Virginia and Big 12 play Friday night, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. Men's golf, they're up to number 21 in the scoreboard national rankings after winning the Arizona Collegiate NIT by 14 shots over number 11 Arizona and the other 12 teams in the field. Simon Kwan, Peter Kim, Cole Ponich, Kevin Wu all finished in the top 8. This week, the John A. Burns Intercollegiate over in Hawaii, Thursday through Saturday.
Is that good? 14 shots over?
Under par, 14 under, yeah. They were 50 under par. They were 50 under par for the tournament, and they won it by 14 shots.
Like break that down in like football score.
The next best team was down by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Thank you for that.
And Arizona's ranked number 11. They're playing on their home course. The BYU went in and smoked them.
Nice. Women's golf ranked number 48. San Diego State Classic final round is tomorrow. Cougars took 5th place last week at the Florida Atlantic Paradise Invitational. The next tournament is Causeway Invitational, February 24th through 25th, Sacramento, California. That's kind of close to my hometown, the Bay Area.
Nice.
Head coach Kerry Roberts will join the Wise Guys next week with me and Uncle B.
Looking forward to that. Women's tennis, 5-3. They played Memphis today. Want to check that score real quick? See if they See if they beat Memphis today. They got Colorado State Friday on the road at Denver on Saturday. I'm going to look that up real quick. But the women's tennis has been playing pretty good. Just dance around. We go over at men's tennis.
Men's tennis 5-1 beat Binghamton 6-1, beat Wagner 7-0, beat Villanova 7-0, and beat Lehigh 6-1. This week, Idaho State will be here, and that will be on Saturday.
Memphis today against the BYU women.
What was that?
BYU won 4-0. Right now 6-3. So BYU men, BYU women playing good tennis here in the spring. Track and field, the women are ranked number 6 in the country. New poll comes out tomorrow. Megan Hunter set another school record after running the 400 meters in 53.01 at the Millrose Games in New York City. She now holds 5 BYU records, 2 as an individual and 3 as part of a relay. She's fantastic, and so is that team, again 6th in the country. Maybe they'll be a little better tomorrow when that new poll comes out. The men unranked. This week, both teams, Husky Classic in Seattle Friday and Saturday. Some will be at the Don Kirby Invitational in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Diljit Taylor named coach of the Nike new Swoosh Track Club in Utah. She'll also remain as women's cross-country head coach and associate track and field director at BYU. So she's doing that. When I saw that, I thought that's great. And then they made a point of, now hang on, she's still going to do this. Which is great news for BYU and their program.
Yeah, I love Coach Taylor. She's amazing. She's amazing. I like the young and fresh vibes that she gives, because she when she says stuff to me when we're talking, I feel like there's when you talk to kids nowadays and they say stuff and you're like, huh, what does that mean? She's really hip, and so when I talk to her, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. She's like, you're a young guy. You should know this stuff. I'm like, no, I don't. So I think the ability to relate to her girls and her team, really helps out. And she loves her athletes like no other. Yep. I saw a clip of her the other day on Twitter our ex, and she was, cheering on her. Each girl that ran by she was cheering them on.
Yeah.
She
has a gift.
Yeah.
Ed Eyestone, by the way, will be on the Wise Guys in 2 weeks, and as they get ready for continuing their season and chasing more titles.
Are those the best programs, you think? Athletic, sports programs?
Well, cross country is legit, and it has been both on the men's and women's side for some time.
Probably the Cougarettes first, right?
I think they have the most national titles, 24, something like that. There's a lot of great programs going on campus. Swim and dive, the BYU men and women split their meet at Utah, with the men beating the Utes. Up next is the Big 12 Swim and Dive Championships in Federal Way, Washington, February 25th through March 1st. So we're just starting to move into championship season now. Right. Fortunately, baseball and softball just getting going. So we have that to look forward to as we get into basketball, gets into the big dance and all that stuff over the next month and a half, if they can get there. Yeah. Both BYU men and women will get to the Big 12 tournament and see what they can do at that point. But the last football game of the year, the Super Bowl, and we start this, long saga until we get to Stadium of Fire, which is how I judge the passing of time. Man. But spring football has zipped things along, and that starts, as we mentioned, a couple weeks from now. All right, should we roll out of here on this day, February 10th? These are significant things that happened on this day in the course of history.
Yeah, 1846, Mormon pioneers began their trek west and changed the world and helped build a university that I attended.
That's right. Football. Changed your life.
Changed my life, yeah.
So absolutely. On this day, the pioneers began the trek. 1870, the city of Anaheim, California, incorporates for the first time. Then it disincorporates after 2 years as the tax burden was too high. What is it with California and taxes? They've had tax issues right from the start.
California is the worst state ever. Right, I'm never going back.
That's what went down on this day.
1920, baseball outlaws all pitches involving tampering with the ball.
Interesting that you could tamper with it before today.
You know what? When I read that, I was like, put grease on it, or
maybe
something.
scuff it.
Right? Yeah.
Something.
Like look at what.
I
would definitely put some hair grease.
They put a stop to it on this day in 1920.
Tampering with
Here we are in 2025, and they've still been trying to figure out how to do that. Every now and then someone goes, "What? I can't put Vaseline into my cap."
Right.
Now they check the gloves, and they come off randomly because everyone's trying to beat the system. On this day in 1961, the Los Angeles Chargers moved to San Diego, and now they've since moved back to Los Angeles.
Why would everybody? I feel like everybody goes to LA, comes back, right? Like the Raiders did.
Yeah,
Rams, Chargers.
That's because LA is just this big TV market, but no one cares about their teams. They got the beach and other stuff going on.
Yeah, it's too much. It's probably too much going on. They got celebrities and
I guess.
1969, Pete Maravich,
just like you said.
Maravich, scored 66 for LSU in a 101-94 loss to Tulane.
Yeah, Pete scored more than half team's points.
And still lost.
1989, on this date, Miami Vice airs their 100th episode. Remember that? You remember Miami Vice? Did you miss that? That was Friday night. Friday night TV.
You mean the movie? There's a movie, right?
Yeah, the movie came after the series. Don Johnson and those guys, they were hip and happening.
I don't know who Don Johnson is.
Yeah, just Google him.
Why you laughing? 1992, Mike Tyson is convicted on grape charges.
On rape charges.
Grape. I said grape.
Okay.
I did for YouTube. It's for YouTube.
Okay.
So for grape charges and goes to prison.
That was significant. Changed boxing for a while. I was in Vegas as a news anchor the day he got out. And did his time, came out, got in a limousine, the private jet flew to Vegas, and he was fighting for $20 million a few months later.
Wow.
That was his post-prison job plan.
That's crazy.
But anyway, his career changed on this day with that conviction. 1993 on this day, Oprah interviews Michael Jackson on ABC, and 90 million people watched.
I've heard of that. I've seen a little bit of that. That's when he's singing, right? Like making beats, and she's trying to talk over him, and he's still making beats. Is that one?
I don't know.
I just seen clips of that.
Who's Michael Jackson? No, I'm just kidding.
I do know Michael Jackson. I've heard on that interview he was really annoyed with her, and
really?
That's why he was.
He just started singing.
Started singing and making beats, and she kind of got the hint.
He's an interesting guy, Michael Jackson.
Very
90 million people watched that interview.
That's crazy. Especially in 1993, 90 million people even had TV.
It's like a Super Bowl.
Yeah. 2011, on this day, Jerry Sloan resigns as the Jazz basketball head coach.
So this was it. He was done on this day in 2011. February 10th, birthdays, 1929, Jerry Goldsmith. Who's Jerry Goldsmith? He's a composer, and he did the music for Hoosiers, among many others. But Hoosiers is one of my favorites. I listen to that in the car. That's an awesome soundtrack by Jerry Goldsmith, born on this day in 1929.
And 1950, Mark Spitz wins 7 gold medals in 1972.
That was a big Olympics for him. 7 gold medals. 1955, golfer Greg Norman was born.
And 1964, Glenn Beck, broadcaster.
Glenn Beck was a disc jockey at K96. I was a weekender. That's where I first met him. This was long before the Glenn Beck of today and this political commentary and stuff. But it all started here in Provo at K96 for Glenn Beck.
Nice.
Deaths on February 10th, 1957. Laura Ingalls Wilder, the author of Little House on the Prairie.
That I actually did watch. Little House on the Prairie.
Okay, good.
With my grandma.
All right.
Maybe
it was a TV classic.
Yeah,
everyone watched that.
Yeah. Is that with Lassie, the dog Lassie?
No.
Oh, wrong one then. My bad.
That wasn't with Lassie. Lassie had his own show. Lassie had his own show and then some movies.
My bad. Wrong one. Oh, shoot. 1992, Alex Haley, who's author, Roots.
Wrote Roots. 2008, Roy Scheider died. He was an actor. It was the guy in Jaws, his famous line, "We're going to need a bigger boat." Yeah, that was Roy Scheider.
2014, Shirley Temple.
And in 2023, Hugh Hudson, the film director for Chariots of Fire, passed away on this day. Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week comes from Brigham Young. Mentioned the pioneers began their trek west on this day in 1846. When they arrived in the Salt Lake Valley in 1847, Brigham Young said,
"This is the right place. Drive on."
And they drove on and changed the state of Utah and turned it into what it is today. You know, there were no trees when they came into the valley. Now you look and go into Salt Lake, there's trees everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. Changed everything for so many people all around the world, that trek for the pioneers. A great quote from Brigham Young. We want to thank former BYU star Bryan Kehl, who will look forward to seeing play in the Alumni Game at the end of March. Next week, women's golf coach Carrie Roberts, and we should have a BYU assistant coach getting ready for spring practice with Bilo and Blaine on next week's show. Here's where you can find us. Blaine will be on the pregame show Saturday night at 6 Mountain Time on BYU TV. That's ahead of Kansas State against the Cougars. Postgame show on BYU TV as well. I'm going to be on BYU Sports Nation tomorrow morning and the Deseret News all week. And then BYU Fresno State Baseball Series Friday, Saturday, and Monday on BYU Radio and the BYU Radio app. Bilo will be back next week with Blaine as we're going to go head-to-head next week. He'll be talking to the world, and then I'll be calling the BYU game on the radio as they open the season with that series against Fresno State. And finally tonight, we want to pay tribute to the Show family, who lost their husband and dad in a car accident last week. Jake Schoaf played basketball at BYU for Steve Cleveland between 2001 and 2004. Blaine and I had the good fortune of calling a lot of his games. He was a big man with a big heart, loved by so many people, and we extend our thoughts and prayers to his wife, Emily, and their 4 boys, Zach, Brady, Grant, and Max, as well as their extended family, including former BYU football player and our friend Ben Criddle, Jake's brother-in-law. Planet is a better place because Jake Schoaf was on it, and again, we send our best to the family. We remind you, Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. I'm Dave McCann. That's Brian Logan. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you again at all those things we just talked about, and again next week for more Wise Guys. And thanks for being here.
Anytime.
Thanks for classing the place up. And Bryan Kehl was awesome too.
I hope I didn't do the opposite.
You're great. You're great.
Thanks.
See you, everybody.